So are you all, so they gave me the best session of the day, which is right after you've all eaten and you feel you're kind of sleepy and you feel you're kind of, okay, I'm going to listen to this half ear and half not. So, Assalamu alaikum, my name is Sherifa Hady. I do work for a great company called HP. But you know what, we've been seeing a lot of presentations about statistics. We are a lot of people in this room, so we're going to turn the tables, and I'm going to ask you a little bit of questions, okay? So, how many of you use technology? Okay, I can see some men right at the back. Hello? Do you use technology? Hello? Yes, hands up, please. Okay, how many of you are mothers? Okay, that's a good percentage. Good. How many of you are wives? Well, you should be mothers and wives, right, at the same time. It doesn't matter. It's not necessarily these days. Okay, so the reason that I'm seeing here is that you can see that almost 100% of us in this room use technology. We have a lady who's using technology right here. Hi. We have two people right here using technology. So why are we not 100% in the workplace? Isn't that a question? Good. So that's what I'm going to try and share with you today. I need the... Okay, so what I'm going to try and do very shortly in the 30 minutes that I have is first of all to share with you the truth. Most of you already know the truth. We've had great presentations already about the truth, but I also have some statistics that I want to share with you. Then I have some interesting facts about why are we not moving up. So some of us are working in technology, some of us are in the right industry, but then moving up for some reason doesn't happen successfully for all of us. And then finally, and I think the most important thing, is what are we all going to do when we leave this room? Many of you have traveled many, many hours, come all the way here, and I think, you know, our time is precious. And for us really to leave here today, we really have to take something with us out of this room. And I have one sentence for that I'll share with you at the end. So, this is the truth. It's not meant to be black, but I don't know why the slide isn't coming out. This is another truth that's not working. Okay, so see, women usually know how to sort out issues. So, I don't know what the problem is over here, but I don't want to waste any more time. So I had some numbers that showed the number of people that, or women, sorry, that actually go into universities to come up with a university degree in STEM industry. And the slide that you're meant to see is that, let's say 100 women go into a STEM industry. Guess how many of those actually work in a STEM industry out of 100? 1%? Not that bad, a little bit better. 30. So 30 of them actually enter into a STEM job. Out of the 30, how many of you think they stay there for 2 years? Who last 2 years? Out of the 30? 10%? Around 8, okay? How many do you think actually make it to 10 years in that industry? 3. So any of you here who's been in this industry, the technology industry where I come from, more than 10 years, you are unique. Give yourselves a round of applause. See, I have it. Did I say the right numbers? 100, 12, 5, 3. Almost right. We were almost right. Right, the next slide, which you can't see very well, actually shows how many girls go to university and how many of those are in a STEM university. And just I can share with you, if I look at Africa, where I come from, it's around 15%. So 15% of girls who go to universities go to a science and engineering university. So before I go to the next slide, I actually want to share a little bit with you about myself. I'm Egyptian, born in the UK, and I know a lot of you here, and I'm so happy to see very familiar faces. But I was born in the UK. At 12 years old, I moved back to my home country, Egypt. And I faced some cultural challenges, I must say, at 12. First of all, I couldn't speak the language very well. You know, I didn't understand why women were always picked on, I would say. Well, that was my opinion at 12. I always loved to spend time with my dad. I always said I want to understand what he's speaking about. He was part of the CIA in Egypt. May he rest in peace. But I always used to sit with him. I wanted to understand about football, about politics. I just felt sitting with the women was always a bit the same topics. They were all discussing cooking and their kids and, their sister or their brother. So I decided to go to engineering. And I was just telling my colleague here, I just got to know now, how difficult that was, because a girl going into engineering in Egypt was quite weird. And the reason that I wanted to go to engineering is that I always wanted to invent something. I've always had this thing, I want to invent something that people can use and remember me for the rest of my life and their lives. Unfortunately, to tell you all, I didn't invent anything, but I did work for a company that did. So after engineering, I graduated and I said, you know what, I'm going to go and work as an engineer. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to go and fix things with the screwdriver. And I was interviewed by two multinational companies. One of them is an oil and gas company and one of them is an IT company. That was in 1990. After the interview finished, they said, Sherifa, you're great, you have the right passion, the right energy, but sorry, we can't hire you. I said, why? They said, because you're a woman. Bluntly like that. One of the reasons was because the oil and gas company had oil rigs far away where you had to spend 30 days, over there with a lot of men, so, we can't have that. And the other one was an IT company where they worked for airlines and airports, so you would have to stay at late hours of the day. And that really bugged me. After 5 years, and the engineers in this room know how difficult engineering is. After 5 years, they tell me I can't work in my industry. And that's why I like to attend these events, because I think not all of us have to go through such painful experiences. And not our kids. I have a daughter who just turned 19 today. So Meera, I have to thank you, because you always do the event on my daughter's birthday. So thank you for that. She just turned 19 and my son is 13. But I believe a lot in role modeling. And I usually invite my daughter's friends over. And usually I'm sitting in the table with them during lunchtime and I ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Each one of them. So there's 6 people and most of them say, well, I want to be a mother and have a nice family. And there's only one girl usually on that table that says, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to be something. And I'm proud to say that's my daughter. And it's not for anything, but she sees that I can do it and you can do it. And I think we all have a big role to play to show our kids. So that's why I'm standing here, to share with you a little bit about my story, but I also want to share with you an interesting statistics about the Middle East and Africa. So you can't see the screen very well, but this shows you the red is the amount of male employees in a region, and the gray is for the women. And the first is East Asia, Europe, Latin America, Middle East, South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, and then high income. And it's interesting because it's a U-curve. Why is it a U-curve? The countries where women have to work, and then at the end is the countries where women can work in a friendly environment. The one in the middle is where the women don't have to work, or that the countries don't provide a friendly environment. So that just says that we are all prone to working. We like to work. We like to bring value to the society that we're in. But it really depends on the environment around us that allows us to have a huge percentage or no. And unfortunately, one of the things we really need to do together, collectively, is to increase the number of women in Middle East. I think that's a very number that we all need to work on. And then here you can't see the numbers, but UAE is actually very good here. And Egypt, my home country, needs some improvement as well. So that's just another statistic. So my favorite slide. In the 50s, all the ads that came out were about women, what you can do to clean your house faster, what you can do with Fairy, what you can do with Ariel. It was all about what we could do in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. Then the 90s, it was all about how you could be smaller, thinner, more beautiful, and be models. Not necessarily role models, but models. Now we're in the 2000s, and look at poor Merkel, who is a very, very successful woman. Look what she gets as an ad. Right? She gets, and I don't know if you can read it, why everybody loves to hate Angela Merkel. Right? So when women are successful, is this what they get? So I think this summarizes really, where we are and where we need to go. Even today, in the world of technology that we're all using, even if you look at Facebook, Yahoo, Google, and Apple, and I don't know if you can see, but in Facebook, for example, the percentage of tech females is only 15%. The percentage of senior women at Facebook is only 23%. But then when you look at the number of employees who are women at Facebook, you're talking about 40%. The same goes for Apple and the same goes for Google. And I appreciate the lady who's presenting before us, is at least these companies are now admitting it, they're publishing their numbers, and admit that they need to fix it. So, what are the issues that I've seen in my 20 years working in the IT industry? So after my university, and I didn't get the 2 jobs that I wanted to, I did start working as a salesperson in ICL, which was a company bought afterwards by Fujitsu Siemens. And then, like a lot of us do, my husband moved from Saudi to Dubai, and I had to quit my job and came to Dubai. I've been in Dubai since 1996. And since then, I've been working in the IT industry. And many, many times, I've done a lot of job sales, marketing, retail. And it's been always, like I said in my video, I sit in a lot of meetings being the only woman. And I don't consider it a minority. I consider it a uniqueness. I feel that I can speak up more than any of the other men. Now, of course, not a lot of my managers like that, because they say I'm opinionated and I'm aggressive and, all the other things that we get. But I do believe that we all, if we believe in ourselves, if we're hard worker and we achieve, and we surround ourselves with the right people, we can achieve a lot. So, things that I've seen, or that why women don't move up in the ladder. So we've talked about, women working in technology companies, but then why aren't we reaching the CEO level? And there's basic things like, I don't want the role, I feel, I might not succeed, or it's going to be too much responsibility, or I can't leave my family. I can't succeed in the role, so that's where I speak about self-belief. And then I can't have the role. And there's a famous thing, I don't know if you all read it, but there's something called the B flight. Why women don't make it up in the ladder? It's because of the B flight. And the B flight is either your baby, or your hubby, or your self-belief. So one of them are usually some of the biggest factors that make women not go up in the ladder. So my last slide, because you're telling me that it's time out. We said this before. What are we going to do when we leave this room? So first of all, if any of us are in HR, managerial roles, we need to ensure that women and men start from the same level, right? And they usually say women are promoted due to their own accomplishments, while men are promoted due to their potential. Okay, so we got to ensure that we make, if we are really in the HR and in managerial roles, that we do start women and men and pay them equally. Until today, women are paid 77 cents to the dollar to the man, until today. Next thing is create a culture where they feel they belong. And like I said, a lot of women feel intimidated. I usually go to our HP office in Saudi. And believe me, you don't feel you belong, because you have your own toilets and you have your own office and you have your own... But I think we're getting there. Actually, in our office, we have now 48 women employees. And believe me, they're not there for income. They're there to prove themselves. And I admire the women who work there. Recruit senior male executives who sponsor women. And I think that's very important to all the men in the room, as well as all our, men colleagues, that really we need the men as much as the women. And I think really we would, next year, I hope, Meera, that we see more and more men. I can say already that we have big improvement for last year, but we need to have a common discussion. Women to promote women. We had a discussion during coffee break, and unfortunately, it's sometimes the women who stop other women from growing. And I think we all have a big role to play to ensure that we promote the right women. I'm not saying every woman, the right women. And finally, my last and my best thing. If we're not CEOs at the office, we're CEOs at home. Right? We're CEOs of our kids. We're CEOs of our sons and our daughters. And we can make it work. We need to tell them what is the future. We need to tell them what is the right thing. And finally, I believe that the world will be equal when half of the companies and the countries in this world are run by women and half of the homes are run by men. Thank you.